What is good, Cheifs Kingdom? Welcome in to Cheifs Latest. It's your host, Calvin Silvers. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. We got a little bit of that Kansas City Chiefs football taste back in our mouths. And I understand it was a loss in the preseason opener. However, I do think there was a lot of positives that the Chiefs can take away from this one. So we'll dive into those, plus everything else I saw from the weekend. But before we do, I have to shout out this week's Kingdom MVP. This is our fan of the week here on Cheifs Latest, so I'm giving out this week's award to Hua Vong. I hope I pronounced that name right, Houavang. Hua, I always appreciate your positive messages down in the comment section. Every time I read one of them, it just brings a smile to my face, and it truly makes me feel confident and pretty damn good about what I'm doing here on the channel. So shout out to you, and you at home can be next week's Kingdom MVP. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button, leave me a Go Chiefs down in the comment section, and be active across our social medias all week long. And I want to welcome in this year's football season sponsor for the channel. Welcome in Kalshi. Shout out to Kalshi for sponsoring today's video and our videos moving forward here during football season. And you can use this code FANARCHFOOTBALL on the Kalshi app to get $10 when you trade 10. We'll hear from Kalshi later on in the episode, but we're going to dive into our topics. And if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. That way you don't miss a daily video here on Cheifs Latest. I'm going to keep you updated on all the Chiefs news, rumors, and actions. So hit that subscribe button, and after you do that, leave me a Go Chiefs down in the comment section. That way I can see your name and officially welcome you to the Cheifs Latest family. So let's dive into Saturday's preseason opener. We're going to break it down into groups. We're going to start with the offense and more specifically, the running back room. Because I understand, guys, it was just one preseason game. But based on that game, I am very happy with where this running back room is currently. And there was an early emphasis on the screen game. We knew that they had been practicing that up until this point. We knew that the screen game was going to be heavily utilized going into the season, as it should be. And we saw that displayed on Saturday, and it was working. We were getting the running backs in space. That's what you want to do with these guys because they're explosive athletes. They're going to turn those routine plays into something explosive. Look at Brashard Smith here. He is a perfect fit for that screen game because when you get him in the open field, I'd say 9 times out of 10, you're going to be happy with what he can do with the ball in his hands. He has that extra gear. He has the explosive gain opportunity. He's a converted wide receiver, don't forget. So the agility, the soft hands, the receiving ability out of the backfield, that is his bread and butter. That should be his role here for the Kansas City Chiefs. Manufacture those touches. Let him showcase that athleticism because I value him more as a receiving back than I do as that traditional running back, like Emmett Johnson would be. He was the biggest offensive standout. If there's one guy that I just want to talk about again and again and again, people come up to me, hey, Calvin, what do you think about the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend? I just want to talk about Emmett Johnson. This guy, he's hard to bring down. You better bring 2 arm and you better aim for the legs because those 1-arm tackles, they're not going to work. That first defender is going to have a hard time bringing him to the ground. Emmett Johnson, PFF, they credited him with 10 missed tackles forced. So who was second during week 1 of the preseason? Well, no one had more than 5, so it doesn't even matter. Emmett Johnson put on a show. Whether it was the stiff arm, the spin moves, they just couldn't bring him down. In fact, he had multiple usage as a runner. He could be that downhill threat. Quick acceleration to hit the holes. He was rarely stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Or toss the ball to him. Let him use that burst. Let him get around the corner with that outside bounce. And then he's off. He has quick speed. So when it comes to RB number 2, I'm liking Emmett Johnson right now in that role. I even think he has a potential to be a 3-down back here in the league. Of course, that's probably a long-term path for him down the road. But if he can add 10 pounds, he's going to be able to handle the physicality of a 17-game season. if he can improve his pass blocking, that's just another reason to give him the opportunity to be a 3-down back as his career progresses on. Now, you might have noticed, Calvin, there was one name that you didn't bring up when talking about the running backs, and that was Emari DeMarcado. And he didn't really have much action Saturday, which might mean he's slipping down the depth chart here. So a cut is possible. So you would bring 3 running backs onto your 53-man roster: Walker, Smith, and Johnson. And I don't mind that, because that extra roster spot opens up a wide receiver opportunity. And there's one guy that made a case for himself on Saturday. We're going to dive into that right now, but let me know in the comment section, were you happy with what you saw from our running back room on Saturday? Let's go ahead and talk about that passing game. We're sticking with the offense here. Wide receiver screens, tight end screens. Guys, the screen game, the Chiefs said, we've been working on it. We want to incorporate it for this season, and they put it on display Saturday. Cyrus Allen was getting involved with those wide receiver screens. He even had a first down out of it, showcased his speed, showcased a little bit of his vision. However, a penalty from Jalen Royals did back it up, did completely wipe it clean. But the fact that we are utilizing more screens, getting this going early on, that's going to be huge for when it's Patrick Mahomes' time under center, because he's going to be able to get the ball out quickly. You're creating yak opportunities for players like Rashee Rice, Cyrus Allen, Emmett Johnson, Brashard Smith, hell, even your tight ends. I like what the Chiefs are doing here in that regard in terms of the passing game. Cyrus Allen continues to show, hey, I am the real deal. I am him. And he showcased his versatility on Saturday. Was really productive from the slot, had some outside flashes. I think he was most impressive during the 2-minute drill before halftime. It was his strongest showing. He had a contested catch where he had to climb up the ladder. Great reach, came down with it, hard catch. You know a guy's going to come and hit you in the back. Landed with the ball in his hands. Just overall fantastic. In fact, that whole 2-minute drill, he was creating mismatches. He was helping the team move the ball down the field. That's what's huge about that. They weren't going side to side. They weren't going backwards. They were able to move the ball down the field. So in the pressure situations, he was stepping up. He was making those plays. But I mentioned one receiver potentially made a case for a roster spot, especially if the Chiefs only carry 3 running backs, and that was Andrew Armstrong. This guy is an intriguing prospect, physical as well, and what I really like about him is his frame. 6'4", 210 pounds. Imagine that size on the outside, on the boundary for Patrick Mahomes. He has a good catch point potential, strong hands, a good catch radius with that frame and that length. He showcased a little bit of that on Saturday, and I think if he can showcase that a little bit more as the preseason games go on, he could potentially be a deep ball potential prospect here for Patrick Mahomes. The blocking ability is what really stood out for me, because you get to some of these wide receivers, they don't want to do the dirty work. They don't want to go out there and block. They just want to catch the deep balls. They just want to make a guy get turned around on their route. That's what they want. They just want a good connection with their quarterback, but not Andrew Armstrong. He knows if he wants to make the finalized 53-man roster, he's going to have to do the dirty work as well. And he showcased that with his blocking, with his receiving. So back to the 3 running back scenario. If the Chiefs do decide to cut DeMarcado, well, Andrew Armstrong is right now vouching for a roster spot. But what about the quarterback? Yes, we saw Justin Fields, but I really want to talk about Garrett Nussmeier. The pocket mobility. Boy, it looked fantastic. He didn't really look like a rookie in his first preseason game. He looked comfortable, and it didn't matter whether it was moving around in the pocket or having to move outside the pocket. He kept his eyes downfield. Never looked down, never took his eyes off his receivers, even under pressure. In fact, when he was rolling out, there was a couple times he was pointing to his receivers which way to go because he was going to try to get the ball to them. So he knew when to step up. He knew when to take off. He knew when to try to extend the play. Nothing looked forced, and he didn't make any mistakes. When the pocket collapsed, he did not panic. He looked ready. He looked again, like it wasn't his first preseason game. I think he has a real chance to be QB number 3. And when he did showcase that throwing ability, I thought there were some encouraging flashes there. So Garrett Nussmeier, yeah, I think he could easily be QB number 3. I liked what he did with his legs, what he did in the pocket, outside the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield. Just a lot of positives. But let me know, when it comes to the wide receivers that we saw on Saturday, did anyone impress you? What are you thinking about some of the depth options here for wide receiver? And Garrett Nussmeier, do you think he will be QB number 3? Well, as I mentioned, we have a new sponsor here for the channel during football season, Kalshi. Love to have them here. And before the season even kicks off, guys, we know everyone's making predictions. You hear it at work, you hear it at school, it doesn't matter where you are. People are talking about, well, who's going to win the division? Or who makes the playoffs? Or who's going to be the Super Bowl champion at season's end? Well, on Kalshi, it's America's #1 prediction market platform. You can trade those predictions in a live market. So let's go ahead, get your phone out, get on Kalshi right now, because there's a really interesting NFL futures market on there right now. We're looking at the 2027 NFL champion market, and the Los Angeles Rams are currently one of the favorites at about 15% probability, with the Buffalo Bills closely behind at 8%. So essentially, the market is giving these two teams the best chances. And with the Rams' 15% chance to win it all, a $100 trade would pay out $629.22 if the Rams were able to take home the title. And that's where I would go with this one. I am taking the Rams over the Buffalo Bills. The Rams have one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Matthew Stafford. They have Sean McVay, who is one of the best offensive minds in football. And this is a team that I think is going to be one of the best teams in the entire league. So when it comes down to the Los Angeles Rams to win the 2027 NFL Championship, I would do it over the Bills. So on Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. So you can trade the draft pick, you can trade the game, and you can trade more on Kalshi. So go ahead, download the Kalshi app and use code FANARCHFOOTBALL to get $10 when you trade $10. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything. Excited to have them here for the football season, and we'll hear from them throughout the year. Let's get back to what we saw Saturday. We got one more topic with the offense, and it involves the offensive line and just overall penalties. Now, Khalil Benson continues to hold his own. He got the starter reps. It was a limited sample once again, but I'm not going to overreact here. I do like what he's doing, but I'm not going to say that he is a solidified starter. He's an undrafted free rookie, but he's not overwhelmed. That is the big thing here. He is still holding his own. Jalen Moore also got some starting reps. I think he's still the starting favorite when it comes to your tackle position. Guard is going to be Trey Smith, obviously. Khalil Benson was just filling in because he was injured. So I think Benson's likely that backup early on when it comes to tackle, but the development is continued to be watched. I will continue to update you guys on it because we don't know for a fact who's going to be that right tackle starter week 1. Well, penalties. Gosh, they were ugly. Not too many, negatives that I am pulling away from this game, but penalties was one of them. 12 of them for 83 yards. And it really just affected our offensive momentum. We were moving down the field, and then plays would be called back. Ethan Driscoll, he had a hand in that. 4 penalties. So that just lowered his stock a little bit. I just think overall, when you look at the offensive line depth, those second guys, I don't feel very confident right now. I think that's a bigger concern is the offensive line depth, not really who's starting out there. Bieniemy, it's a little worrisome that you're back in the building. We had 12 penalties, but let's remember it's the first preseason game, so I'm not going to panic too much yet, but that is a negative that I saw from this game, something that I just wanted to touch on a little bit. Hopefully, we can get those penalties cleaned up as we get closer to the regular season. And let's wrap up the episode going over our defense. The defensive star on Saturday was Jaden Hicks. He had a team high in tackles. He was a disruptor when it came to stopping the run. He had pass breakups, especially one in the end zone that forced a field goal in the first quarter. He was the PFF's highest rated defender. There's a lot to like about Hicks here in this one. The downhill support, the line of scrimmage plays. If he can just get some coverage consistency, because we know that he's always been good at stopping the run in his career, but if he can add that consistency and coverage, that's his next step. That's going to get him on the field a lot more. Physicality, coverage. Yeah, if you want a significant role increase, that's what you're going to work on. R. Mason Thomas, the speed, as we all know, is his biggest weapon. There was multiple situations where he won with his speed. 3 pressures, 2 hurries. Could he be used beyond third downs? Is there a versatility there for him? I think he showcased that a little bit here against the Rams. And linebackers, Jeffrey Bossa, aggressive downhill. The big hits, stopping the run. Highest rated run defender, which is really surprising because he has always had that coverage first perception. But if he can have a huge impact in the run, there is a potential for him to have a Sam linebacker role here. Jack Cochran, he was also showing out there on Saturday. There is going to be a good linebacker competition as the preseason also plays itself out. Secondary, Noel Williams. We knew he was probably going to be a starter. Continues to have that starting perimeter case. The outside contain, it was lacking for the defense as a whole. The flat protection wasn't very good. Play action really got us. We bid a lot on that. Things that are just going to fix itself as you watch film and get better as the season goes on. But the pass rush, guys, we knew it was a problem last year. First preseason game continues to be a problem. 12.9% pressure rate. That was 32nd of the first preseason week. Not good. So the defensive line pressure, biggest concern. We'll continue to watch that. But the positives outweigh the negatives overall. Emmett Johnson is a legitimate running back. Brashard Smith, that gadget pass catching role. That's what I want to see him used as. Cyrus Allen showed the versatility. Andrew Armstrong has a physical skill set that I really like that I hope we can see more of this preseason. Garrett Nussmeier, he's comfortable. He's capable as that QB number 3. Jaden Hicks, defensive standout. Noah Williams continues to have that starting case, which we all knew. Jeffrey Bossa with the unexpected physicality, and R. Mason Thomas with some pass rush juice. Yes, the biggest concerns, the 12 penalties for 83 yards, the defensive pressure, just 12.9%. But it's the first preseason games. I'm going to try to keep my overreaction to a minimum. Well, that is all that I have for you guys here on Cheifs Latest on this Monday. We're going to have a good start to the week. Shout out once again to Kalshi for sponsoring this video and all our videos moving forward during football season. Let me know your thoughts of the first preseason game down in the comment section. And I want to hear your friends. That's right, your friends, your coworkers, your family's thoughts as well. Go ahead and share this podcast link with them right now. Send this to 5 of your closest friends or family members. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and also turn on those notifications. And I want to see you on all our social media platforms. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Look us up, Cheifs Latest. Give us a like, a favorite, a 5-star review. Whatever you guys can do to show your support, I always appreciate it. Well, once again, you are listening to Cheifs Latest. I'm your host, Calvin Silvers. And until next time, have a good one.